Hi everyone, welcome to Red Fox Swinging Crafting and welcome to my craft room. I'm Joanna. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make these. These are little calendar albums. I have 4 different kinds. So we have this one, this one, this one, and this one. To make them, the base, you will need two pieces of chipboard that are 6 by 8, one piece of chipboard that is 3/4 by 8, and to wrap these, you need 2 pieces of cardstock, or with these I'm using pattern paper. You'll need 2 pieces that are 8 by 10, and for the spine you'll need a piece that is 3 3/4 by 10, and then for the inside piece you'll need one that is 4 and 3, well, you'll need one that is 4 by 4 3/4 by 7 7/8. 4 to 4 3/4. Okay, so gonna wrap our pieces here. Very simple. You want an inch around all 4 edges, and I put score tape on each of my pieces, so I'm just taking the backings off really quick here. And then I have this measuring tool here. I'm just going to put it in the corner. Use whatever you have to get that inch on all your sides. So that's our first piece, and then we'll do our second piece. Here's number 2. And then the spine is slightly different. So you'll want an inch spacing on the top and bottom, and then 1.5 inches on the side. So we'll just lay that right on top like that, and it's gonna look kind of small, but that's how it should look. So then we're just going to fold the cardstock over the chipboard, and to make my albums look a little bit more professional, I like to use my bone folder and just burnish around all the edges here. And we're going to start with the spine. So when you fold the paper along the chipboard, you have these corners here. You want to cut them in half diagonally like that. You want to do that to all 4 corners. And if you don't get it completely halved, it's okay. As long as you have about this much, it's fine. I'm just going to take a little bit of score tape on the 2 short sides. And then you want to take your glue, run a bead along the edge of your chipboard about half an inch to an inch along the edge, the top, and then along the other side like that. And then you want to fill all this with glue. And then I'm going to take my burnishing tool, burnish it right along the edge of the chipboard, and then stick it down on the chipboard. And then my burnishing tool, going to slide it along the chipboard and then just push the cardstock against itself, so that it looks like this. And then we're going to do the same thing to the other side. So once it's all done, your top and bottom should be folded on top of the chipboard like this. Then we're just going to take our scissors, and at the corner of the chipboard you want to cut at a slight angle towards the edge of the cardstock like that. And then I'm going to burnish the outside again see if I can get that corner and cut along the corner, just like that. So that's how our spine looks. And then if you're using score tape, just put a piece about 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 inch away from the chipboard. So, like that. And now we're going to move on to the 2 larger pieces. So again, we're just going to fold the paper along the chipboard and then burnish all the edges. Now, with these, you want to miter about halfway on the corner and then cut straight to the edge, or to the corner of your chipboard. And then just cut out the corner. So then it looks like this. We're going to do that to all 4 corners. And then it should look like this. So I'm going to be adding score tape again, but this time I'm going to do it to all 4 sides. Just like that. And then, oops, take the backing off. So I find it easier to do it all in one go. We're going to take our glue and we're going to start with one of the long sides. And I just ran a bead of glue along the edge of the chipboard. I'm going to take my burnishing tool and burnish my paper along the chipboard and then stick it down on the chipboard. And I like to take my bone folder and just make sure that it's fully stuck on, like that. And then we're going to do the opposite side, so the other long side. We're going to do the same thing. And then our 2 edge pieces. Sometimes I like to add a little bit of glue to the 2 corners of my top pieces, just so that these 2 tabs stick to the chipboard. They fully stick. And then our last piece. And then I like to turn it around and look at my four corners to see if there's anything poking out, and if there is, I'm just going to take my scissors and make a very small cut. Once I get my scissors under the paper. Now I'm going to do the second piece, and then I will be back to show you how to put it together. I have my 3 pieces wrapped, so it's time to put them together. I have my scoreboard turned to the side here, and I'm going to lay one of my pieces in the corner, and then take my spine. I'm just going to add a little bit of glue just on my score tape and at the edge of the paper. Not adding any to right next to my chipboard. And then just push everything right next to each other, and then I'm going to lightly stick my tab down so I can fold everything over to see if it's lined up the way I want it. And it looks good, so I'm just going to burnish this down, and then I'm going to flip this over and do the same thing to the other side. And now all my pieces are stuck together, and you can add the spine cover. So again, this is 4 3/4 by 7 7/8. I'm going to add a little bit of score tape on here. You don't have to add score tape if you don't want to. In my experience, though, I've noticed that using score tape and glue together keeps the album from falling apart, especially in the spine area. So I'm just going to add glue all over the back of this, on top of my score tape. And then you want to center this both lengthwise and widthwise so that it covers the whole spine and sticks to the two chipboard pieces without poking out from the top or bottom. And then you just want to burnish where the cover meets, or the front and back meet the spine, so that you can close the album. And there you go. Just like that. So on mine, I have the months stuck onto the spine here, and I did it so that they go which way? Oops. They go this way. Okay, so my front is here, my back is up here, and I have some stickers, and this is for December. So to show you how I did this, I'm going to add December on here. So I'm just going to use, let's use that. I'm going to use the cover of my sticker sheet here. So, December. I'm also going to use a ruler to try to keep it lined up as best as I can. And I'm not going to do that on my book. I'm going to do it on my mat. So, ding. E. Raise it a little bit here. Ding. C. E. M. be E. R. Okay. So I have this lined up the way I want it on here. You can just do it. I'm just gonna cut this a little bit smaller to make it easier to work with here. I'm going to grab my grab this again, making sure that we have it the right way. And then I'm going to grab a ruler. Find the center-ish in the center. And then I'm going to take this, find where the center is for this. I'm going to tack just one letter down. It needs to go up a little bit, so I'm just going to carefully bring it up, and then I can stick all my letters down. And then just carefully peel back the plastic so that the letters can stick on the spine. Oops. Now some are going to be a little finicky, so just take your time, don't fret, and if they do come up, you can bring your ruler out and just stick those few down. But there's my December album outside made. Now it's time to work on the inside. For the inside, let me show you. We have a removable pocket in the back and a pocket in the front. So what you need to do is cover the inside. So I'm going to do that really quick. I have 2 pieces of pattern paper, and you want to cut it to 5 7/8 by 7 7/8. And then we can glue these on. To make the front pocket, you will need a piece that is 5.5 by 6, and then you will score on 3 edges. So starting at the 6-inch, score at half, flip it around, score at half, flip it around, score it at half. And then you want to mark, let's see here. When your bottom flap is flipped to the inside, you want to mark at the 3 inches on the right side, and then you'll cut from that mark to the top of the left side to make a diagonal. If you do not want to make a diagonal, you can just leave it the way it is. That is okay. So we're going to add that to our page, or our cover here. I'm going to add some score tape. I'm going to start with the bottom. And let me check really quick here. Okay. So we are going to measure 1/2 inch from the bottom and 1/2 inch from the sides. And then we're going to stick this down. Just like so. And then you can add some Scotch tape to the bottom, and then we're just going to glue our sides down. Now, if you want to cover the slanted piece, the best way to do that is to cut your paper down to 4 7/8 inches. Just like so. And then line it up, and then just take a pencil and mark a little bit down from the top. And then you can cut between those two corners, or the two marks that you just made. To get your pattern paper fitting perfectly. And then if you need to, you can just remove the last of your markings. And then we'll just add glue to this. And stick it right on our pocket. Just like that. And now we're going to make our back pocket. And this has a little Velcro to close it, and Velcro on the back to remove it if you wanted to. For that, you will need one piece that is 6 by 12, and one piece that is 3 by 5. In 3 by 5, you're going to score at half on the 3-inch side. And then with the 6 by 12, with a 6 at the top, you want to score at 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 5.5 inches, and 5 3/4 inches. And then flip it to the 12-inch side and score it at 5.5 inches.